Okay, so the AI package is installed, and I see this little red warning at the bottom. It says resolve of invalid GC handle. The handle is from a previous domain. The resolve operation is skipped. So you might get this error when you are working with the beta version, but I've tried it with this error. There's no effect on the AI functionality. So let's just move ahead with that. And let's see if we drop down here. Yeah, there we go. It's showing us our credits, and it says in beta because not only is the AI assistant in beta, this version of Unity is also in beta. See what's new, view documentation, manage account. You can update your billing information here. And you want to go to open assistant. And the first click might take a while. See, it did not open immediately, so you might end up doing double or triple clicks. So just one click is enough. It just sends a callback to a web server, and then when it gets a valid response, then it opens this up, right? So the agent is, yeah, we have the agent selected. We have Unity selected, and this is just news. So let's just go ahead and ask it to build stuff. Make me a procedural dungeon generator with a button, with a UI button to randomize the dungeon each time I click it, right? Each dungeon should have a floor, corridors, rooms, and maybe some lighting. Is that a good idea to ask it to place some lights? Let's try that. Lighting. Okay, full stop. And let me just reread this again. Make me a procedural dungeon generator. Right, so the idea here is we're asking it to create a dungeon generator for us. We don't want it to generate this one dungeon. We want a dungeon generator with a button that I can press, and it should generate a new dungeon each time I click it, right? Finally, I should be able to walk around in each dungeon as a third person controllable player. That's a long prompt, but let's give it a shot. It's going to take a while. It's going to ask you for permissions to access your content and your Unity installation. You can just hit allow, 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 and just let it do its thing. All right, so let me show you one of those examples. It's going to ask me for some stuff, and I'll have to click allow, and I'll also have to click for the length of this conversation. There's going to be two options: allow once or allow for conversation. So always allow for conversation, so that as long as you're chatting with the AI assistant, you just have to allow it once. And as long as this conversation is live, it should have all permissions. There you go. It's generating some code for the third person character. There you go. Spawn player, spawn light. Yep, it's working on lights. It's working on spawning the player. Okay, there you go. Awaiting input. It says assistant wants to create file. Just once or deny. You want to go drop down for conversation and hit allow. There you go. That's the one I was talking about. It's going to ask this a couple of times for different things. Always select for conversation and hit allow. Of course, you need to have a pretty decent internet connection for all of this. It's generating code, importing it in the content section. Let's just keep it rolling. Okay, so it generated our dungeon for us, and let's go ahead and test it out. Also, it asked me to do TMP importer. It wanted to import some temporary essentials. So you want to click on import TMP essentials when this pop-up comes up. And if there's a bottom button that says import TMP examples and extras, always just tap on these so that it can import all of the shapes and assets that it needs to create your request. And yeah, so it completed around 30 actions, and I've used up 10% of my free trial. Let's test it out. So this is the game view and this is the scene. So let's just have a look at the scene. And seems like a pretty decent dungeon with some maze-like areas, some open areas, some corridors, and this roof is a little weird, but it's I think it's placed lights inside of these crevices, uh, inside of these little cubes. These cubicle structures have lights in them. So you have your dungeon, so to speak. You have your overview of the map, and there's a button on the menu. I'm not sure if this works. So let's just hit play and test it out. Okay, so let's play this, and I seem to be stuck inside of the one of the cubes with the lights in it. My player start seems to be stuck in there. So if I hit stop, let me hit stop there. And I want to move the player start to somewhere nicer so I can actually move around in the map and don't get stuck. So I want to go to my player. I want to move this guy around. I want to save that. Hit play and let's see. I still seem to be spawning right under this. Oh, there's two pawns. One pawn is moving right over there across the map, if you can see that. That's weird. Okay, let me check what's happening. Maybe I want to reduce the size of my player so that the player doesn't get stuck everywhere. Let's reduce the size. Hit R on the keyboard, scale it down, and let's see if there's another player pawn inside the map somewhere. That's the player in the content browser. Okay, just reduce the size, so let's try that out. Let's see if we still get stuck under the light cube in the generated dungeon. And we're also going to check if the little button here actually works. Okay, I'm still getting stuck. So let's go ahead and ask the AI assistant to fix this for us. And if what happens if I click on the UI button? Does it generate a new map for me? No, it does not. If I click on it, nothing happens. Okay, so let's head back to the AI assistant and ask it to fix these issues. So let's open a window, AI assistant. There you go. It's right here. There's two issues. My player pawn gets stuck in the light cube when he spawns, so I can't move around. Please fix that. Also, the UI button on the screen doesn't seem to generate a new dungeon when I click it. Make it functional. Full stop. Let's send that forward and let's see what magic happens. Okay, so let's try this out. I think it fixed the collision issue on my player, but I don't think the dungeon generator button is still working. Let's test it out. So this is the game view, and okay, we can move around fine. We're not getting stuck in the light cube on spawn, so it's spawning fine. But you see there's an issue. So I'm stuck in this section. I can't really cross over. So maybe what I need is an adjustment in my prompt. Maybe I need to tell it to keep the hallways open paths so that I can walk through across from one corner of the dungeon to the other corner. And secondly, I think what we need here is an enclosure so that the top lights are part of the dungeon and they're not floating in the air. So also, if I just click on the, let me get the cursor. If I click on this UI button, nothing generates still. So yeah, let's go ahead and refine our prompt. I need, in fact, instead of the UI button, pressing G on the keyboard should generate a new randomized dungeon for me. Let's just keep this prompt short and focused and let's see what happens there. So let me just copy this for my own notes and I'm going to send this forward. So we're not going to rely on the UI button that we have to click on with the mouse anymore. Let's just go with the keyboard key.